Welcome to another 10-minute episode of Everything Sports with Aman and Evan. I'm your host, Evan Garber, and there have been a lot of stuff going on in sports this week. Of course, we do have the NFL playoffs coming up. We do have the MLB arbitration deadline or deadline to void arbitration today. We also have the NBA. It's the middle of the season. Teams are struggling. The Warriors are struggling. The Lakers are struggling a little bit. We have teams like the Thunder just playing absolutely insane basketball. It look like one of the best teams in the NBA. Just a ton of stuff going on in sports. And of course, we do have the Australian Open coming up soon. But today, we're going to be talking about the NFL head coach jobs and what an insane week it has been in the NFL. Of course, with the NFL playoffs coming up this weekend, but we do have the end of the season this past weekend, and there have been a lot of stuff going on so far in front office and the head coach positions. We'll start off with the Commanders firing Ron Rivera. I mean, this one, it was pretty obvious it was going to come. The Commanders had a 4-13 season this year. I mean, I know the team wasn't great. Of course, they did trade Chase Young at the deadline. It was Montez Sweat. So with two key pieces of your defense, trade them at the deadline, and you didn't really expect the team to go anywhere. Of course, Sam Howell at the helm, the quarterback. Although he looked decent out there. He's got a lot of weapons. Terry McLaurin, Dotson, like he's got a lot of weapons out there. Brian Robinson, Logan Thomas, a lot of good weapons out there for him, and he looked decent out there. But it was definitely time for Ron Rivera to go. This team just definitely did not perform as well as it should. Of course, we thought that. I mean, I honestly thought this team would be a little bit better than it was this year, but I mean, it makes sense. You got to trade Montez Sweat. You got to trade Chase Young. Get whatever assets you can and try to rebuild this team. But they got some decent pieces to build around right now. Of course, the offense, like I mentioned, it's pretty decent right now. Got some good studs on the defensive side, like Cam Curl, who definitely build around. So they got some pieces there for sure, but I definitely think they need a lot more in order to compete in the tough NFC East. The Atlanta Falcons, they fired Arthur Smith after 7-10 season. I mean, the writing was on the wall for this one too. Of course, they did have a chance to win the division at the end of the season because the NFC South is just so bad that they really didn't deserve any playoff team. But of course, the Bucks are in the playoffs, and they could end up being the Eagles, who the Eagles have been struggling. But we'll get to that later, obviously. But Arthur Smith being fired, this makes a whole lot of sense, honestly, because you had the offense draft. You had Bijan Robinson, of course, who drafted this year. You drafted Drake London. You drafted Kyle Pitts. I mean, of course, you got Desmond Ritter. You got a lot of pieces on the offense, and you still couldn't do much with any of them. Kyle Pitts still has never not been the same Kyle Pitts that we thought he was going to be heading into his rookie season. And then, of course, Drake London, he's been okay so far. Bijan Robinson, of course, has been absolutely amazing, but aside from that, you really expect a lot more out of that team. The defense looked all right. Jesse Bates, of course, had a great season. So you got some things to work around there for sure, but you expect a whole lot more out of the offense. You expect this team to have a really good shot to win the division, but of course they fell short. Arthur Smith now being canned. We'll see where he moves on next. See who the Falcons hire next. Then we had one of the more shocking news of this week. We had the Titans fire Mike Vrabel after a 6-11 season. I definitely did not see this one coming. I mean, I get it in a sense. It looks like Derrick Henry might leave now. You added DeAndre Hopkins this offseason. You would expect that one of Will Levis and Malik Willis, like someone to pan out at quarterback, but it didn't work out that way. And I think that's really what led to the decision to fire Mike Vrabel, is that this team looks like they're headed to rebuild mode. Of course, going to lose Derrick Henry, it seems like. And then like he couldn't really get anything out of Malik Willis or Will Levis. So I think that's partially where this comes from. But I mean, I think he deserves a little bit more of a leash because you're not going to do much with Malik Willis or Will Levis at your quarterback. They just don't have a whole lot of potential, I think. But I do think that it's the right thing for Mike Vrabel, though, for sure for him, because he is a great coach. I still believe, and I think that whatever role he may fill, whether it be the Patriots, whether it be the Chargers, whatever role he may fill next, I think he'll do great in that role. Of course, we had another shocking piece of news yesterday, I believe it was. We had not Patriots. We had Pete Carroll stepping down as head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks, of course, going 9-8 this season, just without in the playoffs. This was pretty shocking to me. I didn't expect this at all. I understand it. Of course, Pete Carroll's getting much older, and I think he's just done with this team. He's just done being a head coach at this point. He's accomplished a lot in his career. I don't think he needs to accomplish much more. I don't think he has anything more to prove. So maybe now he just tries to spend time with his family. You know, he is going to be in the front office, I believe, of the Seattle Seahawks or some other coach or something. He's going to be with the organization still. So Pete Carroll not going anywhere, but it is pretty shocking to see that he's stepping down. But I do understand. I think the Seahawks, of course, are in a great position. They could go out and get a Mike Vrabel. They could go out and get a Bill Belichick. They could go out and get someone good right here. And they got a decent team to build around. Of course, you would like someone better at quarterback other than Geno Smith and Drew Lock. But they got some decent pieces. They can definitely compete next year if they put their parts right. And we have Bill Belichick parting ways with the Patriots today. Man, what a crazy 24 hours it has been. Mike Vrabel, you got Pete Carroll, you got Bill Belichick, and of course we'll get to Nick Saban later. But Bill Belichick stepping down as Patriots head coach, or parting ways with the Patriots after a 4-13 season. It really makes sense for him. There's no point of him sticking around right there. He's obviously one of the best coaches in the NFL, and the whole experiment with Mac Jones, Billy Zappi, whatever the heck is going on over there, it's clearly not working. And I definitely was the right thing for him to get out of there and try to maximize his end of his career. He is obviously up there in age. I believe he's the oldest head coach, second oldest head coach, or oldest head coach in the NFL right now. So definitely makes sense for him to go chase a good job for him, like a Chargers job, where he has all the pieces he needs pretty much. Just needs to get the most out of them and try to compete and get back to Super Bowl like he once was with Tom Brady, of course. And then we'll get on now to the firings from earlier this season. We had the Chargers, of course, firing Brandon Staley. That makes a whole lot of sense as well. Just a pitiful season for them, 5-12 season. And of course, they had that major collapse last year in the playoffs against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The writing was clearly on the wall. Everyone wanted him gone such a long time ago, and he finally got canned. I really don't have much more to say other than he didn't deserve to be there. He got way too long of a leash, and finally he's gone. We'll see if the next head coach, whether it be Bill Belichick or someone, can get the most out of Justin Herbert and that offense, and see if that team can compete. Because I think on paper they have a pretty solid roster, but just a matter of maximizing that talent. See what they can do this offseason. Panthers, of course, they fired Frank Reich. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that, but 2-15 season for the Panthers, worst team in the NFL. Of course, they traded Bryce Young. The whole offense looked terrible out there. The whole team looked pretty bad. Although the rush defense was pretty decent. Other than that, though, it wasn't a whole lot going on for the Panthers this season, and it makes sense to fire him. We'll see what they can do. I assume they'll hire maybe like a Steve Wilkes or something. Someone, probably offensive coordinator, actually. Probably hire some offensive coordinator that can try to get the most out of Bryce Young, because that's what they desperately need. You don't trade so many first-round picks to get Bryce Young and not try to maximize his value. You got to try to maximize what he is. He looked pretty solid, I think. I definitely think that he still has a lot left in the tank. He still has a lot they didn't show. I do think that he still will be one of the best quarterbacks from that draft. I don't think he'll be better than C.J. Stroud, but I definitely think he has potential to still be great. And then, of course, the last piece of news, Nick Saban retiring from Alabama. What an absolutely insane career he had at Alabama. Of course, he had all pieces granted to him, obviously, but that's because such a good coach that everyone wanted to play for him. I don't blame him, honestly, for doing that. What an absolutely insane career for Nick Saban. And we'll see what Alabama's program heads to now. I do think they still be one of the top programs in the college football. I don't really see any reason not to be, but it definitely is a step in the wrong direction for the Alabama. They will have to find, of course, their new head coach. We'll see if they can keep recruiting a lot of top guys. We'll see if any guys maybe either transfer or decommit to now that Nick Saban is gone. But this is a major, major news for the college football. I do think that Bama could fall down a little bit these next few years. I still think the top 25 team more than likely because they have so much talent on that roster still that I still think that they'll be very, very good team. But maybe not top four anymore. Maybe they'll miss the playoffs. Of course, they made it this year. Fell short to Michigan, and Michigan won it, of course. But now with Nick Saban gone, I don't know if Milroe is going to be there next year. I'm not positive. I'm not a huge college football guy, so I don't know a whole lot about the situation right there. But if Milroe is gone, then this Alabama program is going to be in a bit of a hole. I don't think it'd be that bad of a hole, of course. But Nick Saban retiring, congratulations to him on an absolutely amazing career. And comment down below what you guys think about the NFL head coach carousel and how crazy it has been, and who do you guys think will fill certain roles? Who do you think would be the Patriots head coach? Who do you think would be the Chargers head coach? Like, who do you think is best fit to fill these roles? And we'll see you tomorrow for a special episode.